for yet another anniversary, the great Al Michaels. Great to see you, Al. How are you, sir?
Hola.
You're hooked on phonics here?
Yes.
It's great to see you, man. How are you?
As always.
Good to see you.
Like home.
I appreciate it, you feeling that way about it, because I feel the same way, too. Where did you watch the game?
At home.
At home?
Yeah, I just wanted to...
Just you and Linda, or do you have anybody over? Is there a Super Bowl party?
No, because everybody wants to talk about, what do you think? And I'm going, wait a minute, let me watch the game. So
I love that. Yeah.
Linda and I.
Just want to just sit there in peace and watch the game.
Absolutely. Because if you go to a party, you're really not listening to the game.
Yeah.
You're half watching the game. If 50 people are there, 40 are by the refrigerators. So that's the way to do it.
I get it, because I told this story the other day on the show. I'll repeat it here since you called this game. Is I was at an ESPN event when I was on ESPN back on the day on SportsCenter at the old Boardwalk ESPN Zone at Disney World for an appearance with Jeff Fisher and Leonard Marshall, and we were watching the Broncos and the Packers, where the Packers let the Broncos score at the end for that Super Bowl that Green Bay was coming back, and I said, if Holmgren scores here, does he go for two? And Jeff Fisher looked at me like I had two heads. He goes, of course not. Kick the extra point and play overtime. So I'm at a party, Super Bowl party, the next year for the Super Bowl between the Rams and the Titans, and the Titans are driving to tie the game. Will they go for two to win it? And somebody at the Super Bowl party asks me in the middle, and my first thought was like, I'm trying to watch the game. But I'm like, actually, I have an answer. I know the head coach last year said he's not going for two. And you were calling that game.
Right.
Were you wondering about that?
Absolutely. And I thought what I always wanted to do the first ever overtime Super Bowl.
Sure.
And that would have been the overtime Super Bowl had Kevin Dyson gone one more yard. Mike Jones made the tackle. There's the picture of it right there. Reaches out, can't get over the goal line. And so that's the one that the Rams, people forget, won after trailing 16-0. And I think the Titans also lost one of their key players. I think it was Blaine Bishop. And then Jeff Fisher had to rally them and get them to, hey, we're back in the game. Come on, let's go. They got 16 points. And then Isaac Bruce got free right after the 2-minute warning, caught the pass from Kurt Warner. Titans go down the field and 1 yard shy. So I wanted to do every Super Bowl I did, I wanted it to be the first overtime. And then I'm texting when the score is 28-3. I didn't do that game. It's 28-3. It's Atlanta and New England. And I think Joe Buck and Troy. Yeah. And I'm sending Joe a text. Yes. So sorry about this one in the middle of the third quarter. What?
And he wound up calling
the first overtime game. Yeah.
An overtime. Al Michaels is here. Our ESPN radio audience, Sirius XM audience just rejoined us. And, so that Super Bowl ending at the 1 yard line, the Malcolm Butler play coming on the 1 yard line. I mean, how many more 1 yard line games can somebody call in the Super Bowl?
Well,
unbelievable.
It was. I saw there were a lot of surveys, polls about what were the greatest plays in Super Bowl history. To me, the greatest one was James Harrison, 100-yard interception return at the end of the first half off our man Kurt Warner, which turned what would have been an Arizona halftime lead into an 11-point lead for the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you look at that play, of course, he intercepts it at the goal line, and then that defense had been out on the field for a while. He has to be gassed. There he goes down the sideline. You got Larry Fitzgerald chasing him. He's out of bounds. He's trying to work his way through his guys. And then the thing that people forget is that if Harrison gets tackled at the 1 yard line, the half is over. You don't even get to kick a field goal.
No points.
No. He goes into the end zone, and, of course, that game also had the Santonio Holmes catch with 3 defenders at the end of the game. But to me, the Harrison play is number one in my mind.
Well, I mean, again, it's the unexpected. And I've asked you this many times before because you've been always so kind when I reach out to you before I call a game about how do you do this, how do you do that. How does one plan for the unexpected? Like Malcolm Butler, I guess you had the good fortune of of Butler tipping the ball to Curse the play before, because he wasn't probably on your board as one of the top cornerbacks to be employed by the Patriots in a big spot. You know,
Rich, the night before the game, I'm well prepared for the game, but now I'm going through the guys at the end of the roster, just in case. So maybe at 10:30 the night before the game, I'm in the hotel and I'm looking at a couple of guys that maybe they get in, maybe they don't. And Butler happened to be one of them. And then, as you mentioned, he didn't even start the game. I think he played something like 18 snaps, maybe a third of the snaps in that game, because Kyle Arrington was in there and they took him out of the game and somebody got hurt. And so Butler is in the game. And then fortunately, he was involved in that crazy catch where the ball bounced off Kearse like 4 or 5 times.
It was almost like a he did what moment.
It was a he did as Antonio Freeman. It was very much the same kind of a situation. And so when he is able to make it's an astonishing play. To this day, though, Rich, everybody talks about the fact they should have given it to Marshawn Lynch. I get it. They made a terrible call. It was a bad call, a bad play, and obviously we know how it turned out. But it was second down. In my mind, it's in a 4-down situation. You have 3 more plays. So what I would have done, in retrospect, of course, being a couch coach right now, Russell Wilson, 5'11", maybe, roll him out to the left. He could run it in. You had Doug Baldwin outside, one-on-one, fade, throw it to Baldwin. Russell Wilson walks in. If it doesn't work, okay, it's 3rd down. Now maybe you go back to Lynch. But you and I both know that we have seen a ton of games and a ton of plays where sometimes the running back just doesn't get in. And they're at the 1-yard line. Now all of a sudden you're at the 3-yard line, a 2-yard loss. Could have happened. I know it's easy to say that Lynch should have been the guy. I'm just saying you got 3 plays. One should have been Russell Wilson rolling out. Because I did the next Super Bowl with New England, which was against Philadelphia and Minneapolis after the 17 season. And then Malcolm Butler he's in uniform. He's not playing.
That's something, Brockman, our resident Patriot fan, you've been wondering about that forever.
Yeah, it's one of those things up there we'll never know the true reason why he didn't play in that game.
You're right, because Malcolm doesn't talk about it.
Right.
Belichick doesn't talk about it. I think even Robert Kraft, I don't know if he knows. I've asked him a couple of times, and he says, I don't know.
Yeah, Matt Patricia, probably we still haven't heard.
No one wants to talk about it.
For some crazy reason. I don't know why. We got to get to the bottom of this.
I know that these are Malcolm Butler mysteries of Super Bowl history.
Only scored 41 points in that game. Probably could have used them.
Yeah, Foles.
Butler did it. That's cheap, but
I got it. You know what? It's there. You know what, Al? If fruit hangs low, it doesn't mean you can't pluck it.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Just grab it.
Just grab it. Come on, baby.
Butler did it, or was active and then wasn't used, because that's the thing too about that one. Is if you're not going to use them, deactivate them, and you could potentially activate another Malcolm Butler.
That is correct. Exactly right. You wasted a roster spot.
It was wild. But again, you've never heard why Marshawn never got the ball. You've never sussed that. Never found out.
No. But again, I go back to maybe they thought they could throw it into the end zone. But as I say, if Russell Wilson throws at 5'11", throwing into the middle of the pack.
Yes.
And also, if you look at that play from any different angle, Brandon Browner creates what amounts to a defensive pick.
Mm-hmm. And
that lets Butler get inside. Ricardo Lockett is the intended receiver, and lets him get there. So Browner's Gretzky. You should get the assist on the play.
Yeah, very good. I love that. Al Michaels here on the Rich Eisen Show. You called, I think, the play that flipped the season too. And I'm not. By the way, the Bears-Packers game that you called. My goodness gracious. But the play that flipped the season, I think, was the 2-point conversion on Thursday Night Football between the Seattle Seahawks and the Los Angeles Rams.
Right.
Because the Rams had that game in the bag.
They did.
And then everything flipped when Rashid Shaheed returns that kick for a touchdown.
Huge. And
then they're 3 and out. They get the ball back, and they march down the field and score a touchdown, go for 2, don't get it. Until New York buzzes in and goes, you know what? I think halfway there, the ball gets batted down, but it kind of looked like it was backwards. And Zach Charbonnet plucks that ball. When did like T-Man, your producer, get in your ear, say, hold on a minute, they're reviewing this thing? Or walk me through that moment.
Sure, you didn't know whether
calling.
It was a backward pass or what.
Right.
And then Charbonnet, all those guys are taught, if the ball is just hanging out there, pick it up. And I don't think he even knew at that particular point that was going to make the difference in the game. So there were a lot of things going on. They had to take a look at this thing. It was pure luck. And then, of course, you get at the end of the game, in overtime, the Rams go all the way down and score. Now they've got a touchdown lead. Now what is Seattle going to do? They go down and score. I mean, that was some drive that Darnold led, and then what do you do at that point? Do you go for the win? Do you go for the tie? I forget what the circumstance was in terms of had that game wound up in a tie. But
well, it would not have gone well for Seattle because the Rams would have won the season series.
Correct.
1-0-1.
Correct.
So
exactly right.
That was a big, huge, and after Puka scored the touchdown to put the Rams up
Great
to
game.
Start overtime.
Yeah, that may have, that was the game of the year at that point, and then there were a few other games. I mean, there were about 10 games that could have been the game of the year this year in the NFL.
I mean, for sure.
Wild.
But
that game was so impactful because that's really now you're talking about the difference between the 1 seed and the 5 seed.
And the NFC Championship game could have been down the road here, where next year's Super Bowl is, as opposed to where it was in Seattle.
Correct.
And the Rams and the Seahawks played the de facto Super Bowl. Obviously we're playing the result of what Super Bowl 60 looked like. But that was a huge moment, Al. And I'm wondering, when you were leading up to that game, talking to Mike McDonald, talking to Sam Darnold, did you get a sense that this was a Super Bowl run in the making? Did you get that sense?
Yeah, but both teams were very good. There was no question about that. I thought maybe at that point, maybe the Rams were the best team in the league.
I thought so too.
They still could be, as far as we know. I mean, as things turned out, obviously they got beaten by Seattle. They got beaten by Seattle in Seattle in the championship game. No, I knew we had two of the best teams in the league in that game. And it didn't surprise me that either one of them could get to the Super Bowl, which they did. But again, you go back to that 1-5 situation, which is, we had one of those games, San Francisco, Seattle, on Sunday night a few years ago. Mm-hmm. I mean, you think about it, the 1 seed, 2 games, you get a week off, you get healthy, 2 games at home. You don't have to go on the road again. And the 5 seed is likely to play 3 games on the road. The only time they could play a home game is if the 6 got there as well as them, which almost happened with San Francisco this year. But when you think about that, I think that's what makes it so interesting too. I kind of like this format. People say they should have, if you're the second best team, you should have the home game, whatever it is. I kind of like it the way it is right now. It puts a lot of pressure on the team to win certain games.
I mean, obviously, New England very well, called them in Super Bowls, Kraft very well. I mean, this does have a feeling to me, despite the result, that they're ahead of schedule and 100% going to be in the mix for the next few years.
Well, way ahead of schedule. And of course, people like to denigrate them and say they had an easy schedule. Hey, the schedule is the schedule. You have to play a team. You have to win the game. Mm-hmm. Rabel obviously did a fantastic job. That team, obviously, after having won, 8 games total in the prior 2 seasons, got it back. I had to laugh like crazy. Jason Gay in the Wall Street Journal had a great story about the Patriots, and all of a sudden they're back. He goes, shouldn't they have stunk longer? What are they,
Right.
I mean, didn't we just see these guys on this long run?
Right.
I mean, it's not fair. He's saying it, facetiously about, what are they doing back here so soon? It's just not fair. But it speaks, I think, to that organization has always been great. I've had the greatest respect for Robert Kraft and what he's done. And all of a sudden, they are back, no question.
And the Bears, too. I mean, you were there.
The Bears, too.
You were there for that playoff game. That 4th and 8 throw, maybe one of the greatest throws all season.
Incredible.
Where they're down 11. Like if the comeback doesn't happen, if Caleb doesn't make that throw through a million Packers arms right to the waiting arms of his guy.
How about the next week? How about the next week at the end?
Unreal.
At the end of regulation.
Unreal.
Going all the way back.
That was unreal.
That was great. But that's why, that's why we love football.
Right.
The NFL, it's like crazy. There were a lot of oh my God moments. There were a ton this year.
Just want to circle back to the Harrison touchdown. Mm-hmm. What is it like hitting halftime and John Madden sitting next to you? It's his last game.
It turned out to be his last game. I didn't know it at the time.
You did not know it at the time.
No, John did not officially retire until April of that year.
So you did not know, as you're calling the Super Bowl, this was his last. He didn't give you a single indication to it, huh?
No, not really.
Right.
Not really. I mean, I think John had a great year. That was our 7th year together.
Right.
We had, the first 4 were at ABC, and then the next 3 were at NBC. No, John was in great spirits. I thought he called a tremendous game. That may have been my favorite game to announce, because what were the Arizona Cardinals doing in the Super Bowl, right? I mean, the next to last week of the season, I think they lost to New England 47-7, and then they get in, and the boss Dick Ebersol, he's going crazy because it's our first Super Bowl at NBC, and he goes, "Oh, I don't want the Cardinals in the game." I said, Dick, relax. A couple doesn't get up on Sunday morning and the husband says to the wife, "Zelda, the Arizona Cardinals are in the Super Bowl. Let's go to the movies." Dick, that's not going to happen. And the rating was great, and the game was tremendous.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Coming down with Marshall Faulk and Deion Sanders and Mariucci and Irv, and we just get out of the elevator to go on the field to get ready for the post game. And we get out, walking out of the tunnel just as Larry Fitzgerald is running scot-free towards us. And we were just like, wait a minute. Was there a whistle blown? What happened? How come there's nobody around him? No, he took a pass from Warner, touchdown. The Arizona Cardinals are up with mere minutes to go.
About 2.5, yeah.
We could not believe what we were seeing. That was truly unbelievable. But what conversation do you have with John Madden after Harrison takes that ball for a score and you call it with him? It's unbelievable. That was one of the greatest moments, as you say, in the history of the Super Bowl. And you turn to John Madden at halftime, and what's the conversation like?
It was like we were both astonished at what that play was. I mean, there were 3 plays where we could have had a long discussion, but we got a commercial coming on the other side, as you well know.
Right.
We got the Fitzgerald play, and then of course the Santonio Holmes catch. But I remember Bruce Springsteen was halftime.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things that comes into your brain, but I'm getting counted down to the commercial.
Mm-hmm.
So here are the Cardinals, this big underdog. Why are they here? They're here. They're here. And now the 2.5 minutes to go in the game, and they may become the Super Bowl champions. And it popped into my head, but it was too late to get it out. What I wanted to say was the Arizona Cardinals just asked Bruce Springsteen to come back out and play No Surrender.
Look at you.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You saw cutting room floor garbage, right?
Wow.
Well, yeah.
Bruce Springsteen and the Owl Street Band.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool right there. Oh, man.
One step too late.
One step too late.
Yeah.
But I'm just, again, I can't get enough of Madden. The times that I was around him, fortunate. Just, I just was never really crossing paths with him enough over the years. The one time that I really did was when he got in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And I got to interview him, and he and Mariucci are tight.
Sure.
And so Mooch was the analyst that week. It was the 2006 class, I believe. Aikman went in with him as well. And I just remember he was just on cloud 9 the entire weekend.
No question.
That weekend.
John, and I've talked about this in the past, John was a very special man because a lot of people look at him and, they see him bursting through the set on the Miller Lite commercials,
right?
The telestrator going back and forth, the sounds, the doinks, the whole thing. John was a very well-read, fascinating man, and in all of the years I worked with him, 7 years, and that would lead to at least 150 or so dinners. We talked maybe a quarter of the dinner about football, and the rest of the time about the rest of the world. John was interested in everything. He was a fascinating conversationalist, extremely well-read. And look, I got unbelievably lucky. I had 7 with him, and I had 13 with Collinsworth coming off of that. That's a pretty good 2-decade run, I got to tell you.
No doubt about it. And I think about his way of speaking is unparalleled to communicate the way that he was able to communicate with anybody, with any walk of life. But the way he would just see the world and be able to simplify it and boil it down in a way that makes you think, unparalleled. And I think about him every time I go back to Canton about the busts talking to each other when the lights go out at night. It really was one of the most amazing analogies to talk about the immortality of the moment, but also how cool it is and how sort of humbled it makes you that you would have a conversation with anybody in that bus gallery and you would want to be a fly in that wall, man. It blew me away when he said that in his speech.
I look at him, Rich, and I'm going to put him in a category of as important as anybody in the history of professional football. I don't want to go 1, 2, 3, but I'm just saying as important. Why? He's a coach. He's a Hall of Fame coach. I think he still has the highest winning percentage of any coach ever. Broadcaster, created a new template. Video game.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Think about that. Those are three different genres, and John was spectacular at all of them. How many people can say that?
Man, goosebumps still from February 22nd, 1980. The man who called it, Al Michaels, still here on the Rich Eisen Show with us. I ask you this every year. You've been kind enough I don't know how many years we've done this. It's our own tradition, unlike any other, where you come here and talk about the Miracle on Ice because it still lives forever as well, like it happened yesterday. But when you hear that, what do you think when you hear yourself on that day?
I'm in the third person. I'm watching from the outside in. Of course, I've seen it 1,000 times. I know what's coming.
Yeah.
We know what the video is going to show. But I'm kind of like, I'm enjoying it from the fans' perspective.
Yeah.
So outside looking in, I think a lot of the players do too. They take themselves outside the game. There's a brand new documentary that came out on Netflix, Rich.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting. A lot of the reviews said you thought you knew everything about this because the story's been told many, many times over 4 decades. But they got some footage that you've never seen before. And they did a brilliant thing. They brought 14 of the guys back to Lake Placid about a year ago. And in some of the segments, they sat them on the bench in the arena, played a lot of the highlights for them, and then talked about their backstories going into the game and where the country was at that time. A lot of people know about it. I think the movie Miracle was terrific. It was more of a, theatrical.
Sure.
Had to take some literary license. HBO did a documentary back in about 2001 that was great. But this one is bringing you up to date on where these guys are, what that meant to their lives, and what it meant to the country at that time.
Miracle of the Boys of 80 is available now for streaming on Netflix. It was released the second to last day in January. Al Michaels approved. Back here on the Rich Eisen Show on our radio, along with Disney Plus, the ESPN app, and ESPN itself, with Al Michaels here. And so I just seeing the photograph of the 14 guys that Netflix got back together from the 1980 team is, gray-haired grandfathers, 46 years later now. You said it was shot last year, so I guess 45 years later. And what is it? What are the conversations like when you're chopping it up with these guys who are teenagers and college kids and ragtag bunch that took down the Soviets? What's that conversation like?
I think it changed everybody's life. I mean, the players can go through life, and if you say you played on that team, a lot of people don't believe them. They don't. Really? It's so funny. I ran into
I love that.
Dave Silk was one of the top players on the team, part of the 4 Boston University contingent. And so I ran into Silk maybe 10 years ago, and Dave said to me, I'll tell people that I played on that team. And some people say, oh, no, you didn't. He said, no. When Michael says Morrow up ahead to Silk, 5 seconds left in the game, do you believe in miracles? I'm Silk, as in Morrow up ahead to Silk.
I'm the Silk.
I'm Silk. I'm that guy.
See, your voice serves as his identification.
It does.
Saying.
I'll take it.
That is so funny.
Yeah. And Aruzioni, of course. Mike's made an entire career out of that moment in time, and he's so funny. I mean, if he says he said if that puck is 6 inches to the right, he said I'm painting bridges. And I said to Mike, yeah, now they're naming bridges after you.
Yeah.
I mean, think about one moment in time, one split second, and an entire life has been changed. And Mike is the perfect guy to have gone out there for over 46 years. I mean, I think Bain Capital brought him to Malta to make a speech like 3 weeks ago.
That's great.
So it lives internationally too.
I love it. And so what was Herb Brooks like?
Herb was a taskmaster. It's very well portrayed. They respected him tremendously. They feared him, but they did love him too. And everybody to a man basically says, hey, without him, this doesn't happen. But Herb, during the Olympics, Herb was very standoffish with the press, trying to keep the guys away. But my partner was Ken Dryden, who was the great goalie.
He just passed away.
Right, he just passed away suddenly, and we had no idea that was in the mix up until we heard about it. Kenny was my partner. And Herb Brooks had such great respect for Ken, who was a brilliant man, that we had access to Herb every other night. They'd play like on Tuesday night, Wednesday night off, Thursday play, Friday off. And Herb would come over to our hotel for a beer. Not because of me, but because of Kenny, but in the conversation. So I had a lot of access to Herb. And you could see, what he tried to do with this team. He made them probably the best conditioned team in the tournament, even though the Soviets had trained 11 months a year. They were all professionals, basically. But when you look at, and you know that they were well conditioned, I think over the course of the Olympics, the U.S. outscored the opponents something like 16-3 in the third period. So when you look at that, especially in the last two games, remember they're trailing the Soviets 3-2 going into the third, outscore them 2-0. Trailing Finland 2-1 at the end of the second. They lose that game. They don't win the gold medal. And that's the famous, Herb Brooks speech before they go out onto the ice for the third period. If you lose this game, you'll take it to your blanking grave, which was perfect. Because had they lost that game, they would have taken that to their grave. Like, you beat the Soviets, you lost to Finland, you didn't win the gold medal? What the hell happened to you guys? Mm-hmm. So he knew how to push every right button, and it all worked magically.
Little heads up, little wink and a nod. Go. We got this guy. We have this team this weekend. You're going to be calling this game. We know we've got him. Mm-hmm. Did Herb ever say anything like that about the Soviets going in? Like never once said we've got this thing. Never.
No.
Okay.
Never once. No.
Man.
And in fact, there are some interviews, and you'll see them in that documentary where he says, "No, give them the gold." I think they interviewed him before the Olympics. No, they won the gold. So. That was
so. He was surprised by the win.
He had to be because the Soviets were the best team in the world,
right,
bar none.
And when they pulled Tretiak, were you?
That was very surprising, and nobody really seemed to know what happened. I mean, when we
like Malcolm Butler being
like Malcolm Butler, right? No, but I will tell you this: fast forward in 2014, I'm over in Sochi covering the Olympics on NBC.
Yeah.
And Tretiak was the head of the Soviet Olympic Committee.
Okay.
And I was dying to get an interview with him, and they kept saying, no, yet. And then all of a sudden, they said, no, he'll do an interview as long as he can bring an interpreter in. Fine. So he brings the interpreter in, and I do the interview with Tretiak. And he's going back and forth from Russian to English, right? When he wants to answer the question. Okay. And he knows he can get it out the way he wants to get it out. So I said... I asked him about that situation when he got pulled, and he said that the coach, Viktor Tikhonov, admitted to him at one point, biggest mistake I ever made. Wow. Biggest mistake I ever made. Yep, sure was.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Can confirm.
Yeah.
Wow. Man, everybody check out Miracle, The Boys of 80, available now for streaming on Netflix. Got about 90 seconds left. Were you surprised about the Super Bowl? You surprised?
Not really. No, I thought Seattle had the better team. Defense. So many games are determined by the pressure that's put on by the front, especially the defensive line. 4 guys up front, plus that whole defense is terrific. So I just thought they definitely had the advantage.
Yeah, I mean coming into the game, that left side of the offensive line for New England was susceptible And sure enough, you know how it works in postseason sports, in any sport. If you've got a weakness, it will be found and it will be exploited, which is kind of amazing how New England got to the Super Bowl as far as they got.
And kudos to Kenneth Walker. I mean, that was gigantic.
Yeah.
I mean, that first half, he dominated. You get that running back in there who can do something like that.
Right.
That makes a lot of the difference.
And if I'm not mistaken, he had the second most yards in the first half since a guy who ran forever in your first Super Bowl you ever called, right? You called the Timmy Smith first quarter. That was your first quarter of your Super Bowl career, calling it.
10-0 Denver, end of one, 35-10 Washington at the half. That baby went away in a hurry.
You thought you go and sitting there thinking maybe I'm going to call the first overtime game in my first Super Bowl game.
Good night. And 35-10 at the half. You know what the second half is? Talk radio.
That's right.
I've got Frank Gifford and Dan Deeruff, and we don't know where the hell to go.
Oh, Frank, tell me about Toots Shore when Sinatra walked in.
Right, when DiMaggio came over. What was that like?
That would have been my first question.
Sure.
Frank Gifford. You're the best, man. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, anytime, Rich.
You got it. And Al Michaels getting set for Year 5 and beyond on Prime Video for Thursday Night Football. Here, the Tuesday after Super Bowl 60, right here on the Rich Eisen Show. We've got Joel McHale coming up in hour number 3. Don't you dare move. We're still here on ESPN, though, for another couple of minutes. So, golf game now? What do we got? We got tee times? What do we got for you?
I think maybe chess or baccarat. What do you think?
Okay.
Yeah. A little lazy today.
A little lazy today?
Yeah,
All right.
sure. Lazy day.
Okay, a lazy day? I love that.
We need one of those, don't we?
Oh, my God. Yeah. Well,
You need for sure. Come on.
That's all right. I'm good.
What a workload.
My right eye is twitching as I'm talking to you. It's okay.
but your left eye's okay.
But it's
At least your left eye lopes.
That's it.
That was
You started laughing over there, TJ.
I
can see where he was going.
Okay, I'm telling you.
I love it, man.
Word association.
You just went left eye on me right there.
Rich don't want no scrubs.
I don't want no scrubs. That is correct.
Oh, baby.
We don't want any scrubs.
Oh.
Yeah, I was thinking to myself, poor Seattle for 2 weeks. If Denver had made it, the video we would have been seeing was them kicking Denver's ass in the Super Bowl that they played
Right, in New
against them. Instead, it's the New England Patriots who make it. And 2 weeks of hearing your voice talking about the interception on the goal line. I've never seen anything like it. I'll say it again. I was sitting in the stands for that one. Everybody in Seattle who was celebrating was crying, and everybody who was crying for New England was celebrating in the snap of a finger. Unbelievable moment. That was incredible.
We're here to provide content. You know that.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Well, let's do this again whenever you want. And
You name it.
congrats again on that Miracle on Ice anniversary, 46 years.